Okay. Hey, everybody. All right. So we're going to finish on our journey of the LGBTQIA Resource Center glossary. If you missed parts 1 and 2, you can go check them out. They're posted. Today we continue with the term phobia. In mental and emotional wellness, a phobia is a marked and persistent fear that is excessive in proportion to the actual threat or danger the situation presents. Historically, this term has been used inaccurately to refer to systems of oppression, like homophobia has been used to refer to heterosexism. As a staff, we've been intentionally moving away from using words like transphobic, homophobic, and biphobic because they inaccurately describe systems of oppression as irrational fears. And for some people, phobias are a very distressing part of their lived experience, and co opting this language is disrespectful to their experiences and perpetuates ableism. Polyamory denotes consensually being in open to multiple loving relationships at the same time. Some polyamorous or polyamorous people consider polyam to be a relationship orientation, sometimes used as an umbrella term for all forms of ethical, consensual, and loving non monogamy. Hello, Liz. Polygender and pangender, exhibiting characteristics of multiple genders, deliberately refuting the concept of only two genders. Polysexual, people who have romantic, sexual, or affectional desire for more than one gender, not to be confused with polyamory above. This has some overlap with bisexuality and pansexuality. Privilege, a set of unearned benefits given to people who fit into a specific social group. The concept has roots in Webb Du Bois' work on. I've actually read some of his work in school. On a psychological wage and white people's feelings of superiority over black people. Peggy McIntosh wrote about privilege as a white woman and developed an inventory of unearned privileges that she experienced in daily life because of her whiteness. I think that's kind of genius. Pronouns. Linguistic tools used to refer to someone in the third person. Examples are they, them, theirs, z, here, hears. I don't know how to pronounce those for sure, but she, her, hers, and he, him, his. And there's many different pronouns now. In English and some other languages, pronouns have been tied to gender and are a common site of misgendering, attributing a gender to someone that is incorrect. Queer. One definition of queer is abnormal or strange. Historically, queer has been used as an epithet or slur against people whose gender expression, and or sexuality do not conform to dominant expectations. Some people have reclaimed the word queer and self-identity in opposition as an assimilation, adapted from queering the field. For some, this reclamation is a celebration of not fitting into social norms. Not all people who identify as LGBTQIA use queer to describe themselves. The term is often considered hateful when used by those who do not identify as LGBTQIA. Hello, Giovanni. Hello, Bristol. Questioning. The process of exploring one's own gender identity, gender expression, and or sexuality orientation. Some people may also use this term to name their identity within the LGBTQIA community. Thank you, Jay. Sorry, I just kicked that. Race. A social construct that divides people into distinct groups based on characteristics such as physical appearance, ancestral heritage, cultural affiliation, cultural history, ethnic classification, based on the social, economic, and political context of a society at a given period of time. Buddy, settle. My doggy over here, he's like walking in circles. Hey, everybody just coming in. If you have not subscribed to this channel yet, please do. All right. And race. We just did race. Okay. Religion. A personal or institutionalized system of beliefs and practices concerning the cause, nature, and purpose of the universe, often grounded in belief in and reverence for some supernatural power or powers, often involves devotional and ritual observances, and contains a moral code governing the conduct of human affairs. Romantic orientation. Romantic orientation is attraction or non-attraction to other people, characterized by the expression or non-expression of love. Romantic orientation can be fluid, and people use a variety of labels to describe their romantic orientation. Same gender loving, a term used by some African American people who love, date, have attraction to people of the same gender. Sex, a medically constructed categorization. Sex is often assigned based on the appearance of genitalia, either in ultrasound or at birth. Now, this is something I really want us to focus on for a second, because over time, you know, when you used to fill out a form and you had to pick your sex and it was male or female? Well, as we've evolved, it's now gender. Pick your gender. Woman, man, etc. They, them, you know, there's a whole spectrum of genders that you can pick from. Oh, Roscoe. Oh, buddy, you're in the wrong place. You're in the wrong place, buddy. Okay. Okay. Anyways, we're going to get rid of this guy. Actually, this is for educational purposes. And you, Roscoe, are ignorant and uneducated, which is why you would say things like that. If you would stick around, maybe you would learn how this is not what you were trying to say. And actually, this is the thing. I'm going to stop for a second. This is the thing about the whole groomer, like accusations that people put out there towards people. I know that this like is a big controversy for school, because you worry that, you know, if your children are being educated about the LGBTQIA community, then they're being groomed. The thing about it is that if your kid is going to be gay, they're going to be gay. There's nothing about teaching about the LGBTQIA community that is going to make someone gay or pan or bi or trans or any of that. They're born that way. So they already are. The only thing about educating people about such thing is it's going to make your child feel heard and seen and validated, which is going to make them less likely to self-harm or end their lives early. Do you understand how that works? You probably don't. But grooming is not a thing in this context. It's education. And that's the bottom line. So anyways, the sex versus gender thing. Now we mark what our gender is, but there is so much confusion. Male and female relates to your biology, that you're assigned sex at birth. And for some reason, even with that, people have forgotten about intersex people, which we might have to do a whole live just on that, so that people understand intersex people, because that falls onto a whole spectrum as well. So Sex and gender are two different things. Sex is what your sex that you were assigned to at birth, and gender is who you are, regardless of your biological parts. And I think that that has been misconstrued, and I think that people that don't understand the difference now use gender in place of sex when they are talking about actually the biology of the body and not who you are as a person. But those are, like I said, those are things that maybe we can talk more about at a later time. It's why you lost. Oh, you are a Republican. Of course you're a Republican. We didn't lose because we educate about the LGBTQ community. We lost because there's a lot of uneducated people out there. We lost because somebody bought the election. And we lost because somebody very much likely, there might have been, how do I block this person? I am new to this, so I don't know how to block people. Hide user on this channel. Okay. I think they're gone. Let me get the rest of these comments removed. Sorry, y'all. Unfortunately, you get... Roscoe was hidden. Okay. Let me remove these other comments. Okay, they're all gone. Sorry you guys have to see that stuff. There's going to be people, there's going to be haters. They're just uneducated, They think that like having conversations like this. Sorry, I'm new to doing lives on YouTube, and I couldn't figure out how to block them, but we got it figured out. I apologize. I really try hard to make our community safe. But I am also new to this platform. But now I know how to block people, so we can block people in the future. It's really unfortunate that like people think that you can turn gay just by being educated. Yeah. They are the ones that are actually doing the harm to the children. It is statistically factual that children who are in the LGBTQIA community that do not get heard and seen and validated often end their own lives before they even reach the age of 18, or they self-harm. And it's just... So people like him are the actual problem. So anyways, moving on. Sexism, the cultural, institutional, and individual set of beliefs and practices that privilege men, subordinate women, and devalue ways of being that are associated with women. Sexuality, the components of a person that include their biological sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, and sexual practices, etc. Sexual orientation. Sexual orientation is an enduring emotional, romantic, sexual or affectional attraction or non-attraction to other people. Sexual orientation can be fluid, and people use a variety of labels to describe their sexual orientation. Sizism. I don't agree with all the they, them stuff, but just because you have a different opinion, you can still be respectful. Yeah, and this is the thing. You don't have to agree with it, but they exist. There are non-binary people. I'm non-binary. I go by she, they. So I know that it's real. I don't know what it is exactly that you don't agree with. If you want to explain that, I would be more than happy to have a conversation with you about it. But I'm not sure what there is to not agree with. All that identifying as they or them means is that you don't feel that you align with this specific gender entirely. That's it. I was born female, but I don't feel necessarily super girly, I don't like feel like a woman. I don't feel like a man either, for sure. Let's get that not twisted. It's not like that. But if I did, there would be nothing wrong with that either. So If you feel like it, please elaborate and we can have a discussion about it. But I agree with you with the respect that you can still be respectful. Absolutely. Sizism, the pervasive system of discrimination and exclusion that oppresses people who have bodies that society has labeled as overweight, as well as people of short stature. Historically, spelled with an X, I love that. Historically speaking, fat people's bodies have been labeled as unhealthy, undesirable, and lazy. This fails to complicate narratives around health and healthy living. This form of oppression has been referred to as fat phobia. Social identities. Social identity groups are based on the physical, social, and mental characteristics of individuals. They are sometimes obvious and clear, and sometimes not obvious and unclear, often self-claimed and frequently ascribed by others. Jen, I missed your text message. What was it? I did not text you. What do you mean? I don't even have people's phone numbers, so I would not have been able to text you. Hold on, I need to get you guys plugged in. Okay. Oh. Okay. I'm not sure what you mean, but yeah. Okay, socialization. The process by which societal norms influence a number of aspects that frame how members of the community live, including how they might think, behave, and hold certain values. Socialization can reinform assumptions or expectations that give power to systems of oppression. Socioeconomic, sorry, there was a hole punch through that word. I had to figure out what it was. Socioeconomic. Class, social group, class, social group membership based on a combination of factors, including income, education level, occupation, and social status in the community, such as contacts within the community, group associations, and the community's perception of the family or individual. This one is, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's like, hey, Christine, it's SOGIE, an acronym that stands for sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression. It's used by some in a similar way to the umbrella acronym LGBTQIA. Interesting. I've never heard of that. Spectrum. A range or sliding scale. Aspects of one's identity, like sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression, exist on a spectrum. For example, with sexual orientation, the attraction to men, women, or some of another gender all exist on separate spectrums. Someone might feel a little attracted to men, very much attracted to women, and moderate attraction to people outside the binary. Please also see Gender Unicorn, which we talked about, to learn more about these aspects of identity. The phrase on the spectrum is more commonly used to refer to identifying with the autism spectrum rather than sexuality or gender, but it relates. Spirituality, having to do with deep feelings and convictions, including a person's sense of peace, purpose, connection to others, and understanding of the meaning and value of life, may or may not be associated with a particular set of beliefs or practices. Stereotype, a generalization applied to every person in a cultural group, a fixed conception of a group without allowing for individuality. When we believe our stereotypes, we tend to ignore characteristics that don't conform to our stereotype, rationalize what we see to fit our stereotype, see those who do not conform as exceptions, and find ways to create the expected characteristics. Okay, Angie. Trans. The term trans acts as a more inclusive term than transgender for gender non-conforming and non-binary folks. Trans man. A person may choose to identify this way to capture their gender identity as well as their lived experience as a transgender person. Trans woman. A person may choose person may choose to identify this way to capture their gender identity as well as their lived experience as a transgender person. Same as trans man. Okay. This is actually our last page. So, okay, transition. Transitioning is the process of taking steps to live as one's true gender identity. Transitioning is different for each individual and may or may not involve medical interventions like taking hormones or having surgery. Some people may not choose to transition in certain ways for a variety of reasons. The extent of someone's transition does not make the person's gender identity any less or more valid. Transitioning may include socially transitioning, such as going by certain pronouns or going by the lived name that affirms one's gender identity. Transitioning may involve making changes to one's physical appearance, such as wearing certain clothing, wearing one's hair in a different style or length, or more complex changes such as medically transitioning through hormones or surgery. Transitioning can also involve changing legal documents to match one's authentic sense of self. Two-spirit. An umbrella term encompassing sexuality and gender in Indigenous Native American communities. Two-spirit people often serve integral and important roles in their communities, such as healers. I can't see what that other word is, though. It may refer to an embodiment or masculinity and femininity, but this is not the only significance of the term. There are a variety of definitions and feelings about the term two-spirit, and this term does not resonate for everyone. Two-spirit is a cultural term reserved for those who identify as Indigenous Native American. Although the term itself became more commonly used around 1990, two-spirit people have existed for centuries. Undocumented. They wrote that word. Undocumented people are who are born outside of the country to which they immigrated, who do not have the documentation that grants legal rights related to residency and or citizenship. The transitioning definition is not what I thought. I thought it only involved the medical changes. No. I mean, you can, it can be any variation of that. It can be just hormones. It can be surgery. Yeah. It's kind of all transitioning. Like, for me, so, yeah. So, for me, the minute that you start going by a different pronoun, going by a different name, maybe you get a haircut. A haircut is literally gender affirming care. Getting your nails done can look like gender affirming care. It doesn't mean it's gender affirming care because some men like to wear nails and they still identify as men. But any of those processes any of those steps that you're taking in the process of becoming your true self is a transition. Ursula. Some lesbians, particularly, I don't really feel comfortable saying these words, but I can't wait till I'm not here anymore. Some lesbians, particularly more masked lesbians, also participate in bear culture, referring to themselves within the distinct label of Ursula. That's interesting. I never heard that before. And then women, spelled with an X. So it's WOMXN, because that's all inclusive of all women. Some women spell the word with an X as a form of empowerment to move away from the men, MEN, in the traditional spelling of women. So there's that too. I've also seen it be used just as an all-inclusive, women, trans women, even non-binary in some cases. So that concludes our studies. Never heard of the Ursula term. I had not either until this. So that concludes that. We are going to be continuing on with other readings and stuff like that. I'm not sure what we're going to move on to tomorrow. I need to look at my folders. This is just what I have printed out. I have an entire catalog of stuff on my laptop that I need to organize and go through. So we're going to be looking at a variety of topics. I've never heard some of this either. Very informative. Thank you. You're welcome. We're going to be looking at different topics all the time. This is just what we've been working on now. I do have a really good article on gaslighting that I want to read. So we're going to be looking at a variety of issues across the board. DV, narcissistic abuse, grieving. There's like everything that you can think of we're going to be covering at one point or another. The Latinx term was something new to me. Yeah, it's actually LATN just X. But yeah. That's been around for quite a while, but I feel like it's not, for a lot of people, it's still new. And also for the Latinx community themselves, it's been a harder push because the Latin culture is very much based in misogyny, unfortunately. And I'm not like speaking on this to try to sound bigoted. I've literally written papers on this in my Spanish classes. I've done a lot of research on the Hispanic and Latin community and their like machismo type culture and things like that. So it's even been a harder push for their community than it has for like terms like they, them, and things like that. So yeah. But yeah, this is going to, does anyone have any comments, questions, concerns? If you haven't followed me yet, please go subscribe. It's for free. Why won't this pop down? Oh, there's the X. You are welcome. Okay, so something that I want to mention, because me and Liz dealt with this yesterday. It does take a while for the video to process, and I also have to make a title card for it. And even though I film this as public, it switches to private, and I have to manually go change it to public. So I'm going to try to pay more attention to how long that process actually takes, but I would say give it a couple hours if you do want to go rewatch this. Yeah, because I'm still learning here. No, but I love this. Great way to spend part of the day. Thank you. I'm so glad that you guys are here and are into it. I'm excited for future topics. Heck yeah, Christine. I'm glad that you're here. I'm excited too. I am too. I just like, this is the type of stuff I want to do, you guys, so badly. I just want to be able to educate people on stuff, because it's like if you haven't experienced it, like how do you even know? I want to always tell people, like, just educate yourself, because there are people out there that are just willfully ignorant, and most of those people you're not going to reach. But some people, you just don't know that a thing exists. So how do you even know to research it, So this is like something that I really want to do, is just spread the knowledge that I've learned and lived experiences and the information that I've gathered. This is one of the reasons that I started my TikTok too. I've just been in, a lot of different places since my, like, not physically, well, physically too, but like, I just haven't until now finally been able to kind of like actually step into this part of my whole purpose of starting a TikTok. And now we're doing it on YouTube, which is totally fine. But yeah, yes, because I thought it was pretty educated in some topics, but I'm learning new things. No, exactly. I'm always learning new things. You know what I mean? It's like we're constantly learning, especially if there's communities that we don't exist in. Um, you're never going to know totally what those people's lived experiences are, but we can try to educate ourselves as much as we can. Are the and these will be up in Discord. Yes, I'm going to I will do that first thing. I will screenshot all of these pages and upload them into Discord. I will do that first before I do anything else. And then we're going to get to the homework grind. So then Money Monday. Actually, yeah, Money Monday. So then Monday can start out with the money grind. So I'm going to get as much homework out of the way today that I can. And then I can focus on the stuff I really want to focus on. So I will screenshot these first thing. Give me still about an hour to get this uploaded. But yeah, it's going to be in Discord. If you have not, if you are not in my Discord and you want to be in my Discord, just go comment under any of my videos saying that you want the Discord link and I'll send it to you. Okay? So, all right, y'all. Yeah. Okay, y'all. I will see you guys later tonight back on TikTok. If you don't follow me on TikTok, it's the same handle at Chronicles of Chaotic Kitty. We're going to do the subscriber giveaway tonight and then we'll do the card game for funsies. So, all right. I will see you all later. Thanks for hanging out.